Good morning, everyone. Hi, Toby. How are you?
Oh man, how are you? Nice to see you here in front of that small aquarium next to your small sump room.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's still too small, though. Both the tank and the aquarium. I built it the biggest I could build it in this room. So I think I can be satisfied. You know, size doesn't always matter. Sometimes it's, you know, getting everything done. And I'm happy that we're now able to show you some infos about the tank. So now it's up and running. Of course, it's still work in progress, so you'll find spots that still need to be worked on. My corals are slowly recovering from the move from the old interim tank into this new one. I also got some new corals already after our last club meeting. Thankful to some users that brought me some of their stuff. So yeah, it's fun. It's great to be reconnected to the hobby again and to this side. I'll take you along and give you some insights about the tank. So the dimension of the tank are 3 meters by 90 centimeters by 65. So that's in feet, roughly 10 feet by 3 feet and then 2.5 feet high. Tank volume, as I said, is roughly 1800 liters, which will be 430 gallons, I would say. Some volume is missing due to that overflow box, which is going all the way on one side of the tank. This is the area where we can't look in. So the covering will also cover this box later on. Below the tank there's nothing except for boxes and storage and, you know, other stuff, but there's no technology underneath the tank, so the filtration is in the designated sump room. The only thing you see is all those pipes going back to the sump room and the 2 return lines that are feeding the tank. So we do have electricity above the tank. There's also network connections and everything. So we just finished doing the lighting cabinet. So this will also be covered with, you know, the same panels that we've used everywhere in the room. Don't worry about all those different white tones. So there will be some painting work going on, but the whole system is covered in plastic. So you'll see the wall is all coated with a 10 millimeter foam PVC, so nothing can jump out or spray and I won't have any mold. It's all sealed to the back, so the water can't go behind. Fishes can't jump behind. So I'm still waiting for my jump guards, so Florian from New Wave will hopefully make me those fitting for my system. I do have the UV right now, right above the tank. So it's actually draining the water with a tiny pump, roughly 1000 liters per hour, 250 gallons, into the UV and then returning into the tank in a different location. In my opinion, and in the opinion of some other professional curators, the amount of those little pests in the water are higher than in your filtration, because after the filtration you already have almost clean water. So you want to be able to damage that DNA of those species that are under the light. That's where the highest density of those pests are. So that's why I have the UV running in the tank right now, as it's also new fish inside. I might change that over in the future when the system is up and stable, but now it's been running for roughly 6 weeks with animals and 2 months before that just with live rocks and sand. I'm pretty happy. There's not much algae growth so far. The animals are doing fine. Of course, it needs some grow time, but that will, you know, just needs patience and some money to buy some new corals. So already been to my favorite local fish store here, Aqua Design with Jan Olsen in Oldenburg, and that's why I got some of the new fish basically from a customer's tank where the fish got too big. So I took those fish and took them into this bigger tank, hoping that they will have a better life than in an aquarium store. Yeah, and they're all doing fine. So as you see, I got this one of the large tanks there, the sailfin. I think that's his name. I got the Shelmon rostratus. It's not that many fish in there, I know, but you know, that will slowly stock up. But at first I wanted to have all the system running and stable. There's also a Bipartitus pair of wrasses which I recently got last week. So they are doing fine.
Please tell us something about the flow concept.
Yeah, the flow concept is quite easy. We do have 2 return lines feeding in with roughly 6,000 liters per hour, which is 1,500 gallons per hour, which is a lot for a tank that size. So we're basically turning over the tank roughly 3 to 4 times an hour. It gives me the opportunity to have a good flow through my plumbing, so I can get the detritus out of those pipes that are laying on the ground, at least most of it. This flow goes into one direction, from the right to the left in the front of the tank, and then right now in the rear you'll see that one AFC 150, which is basically blowing across the tank on the rear side. That's set to random mode, so you'll have moments when this pump is actually weaker than the 2 return lines, and then all the water will move in a clockwise direction as viewed from the top. And then you will have moments when the AFC is just pushing so much more water, and then the water flow reverses, and anything in between, because we have these 2 outlets basically running in random. So that gives me the opportunity to have, vortexes going out anywhere in the tank. There will be a second one that goes in there. I know it's not hidden, it will overgrow anyway. And in the front you'll see I have this big chunk of reef structure. And as those acros and whatever I will put on top is growing, I had that in my old tank, so I had a milker that was like, almost 1.5 feet high. It will cover those pumps anyway. And from the long side, you won't be able to see it because it's black from the front. There's not really a need to hide those. That's basically all the flow concept that we need. So having a second flow pump will give me some additional momentum, so that will have like a more diagonal line in the tank, so I just have a bit more chaotic flow than I have right now. I mean, that's by far strong enough. So this pump is just running at the maximum, I think at 55% right now, at the lowest point at 3%.
Are you happy with the LEDs?
I'm very happy. I do have this little triangle. They do have a quite wide spread, but of course, between those 3 reef blocks, you will notice this little shadow. But I just have 3 of those, and the light in general is great. So I don't see a reason to, exchange that for now. I've been very happy with those lights. I had them on my old tank as well, 3 of them, but only on 1.4 meters. So they were running at only maybe 60%. Now these are running at 100%. In the morning, I'm also doing this bolus method from Claude. So the light comes up within 10 minutes, it's at 100%, and then for 2 hours, the lights is fully on, and then basically during the day, it transforms into a more bluish cycle until 7 p.m. roughly. That's the latest. I usually stay in the office when I have that much work to do. And then I want to enjoy that, popping colors, blue time. But during the day, I really like this more white daylight theme. Those are Lanis, the biggest one that they built, and they're still doing fine. There's not one LED damaged, so can only say good light. You never know when you're going to exchange things. I want it to be flexible. I also want to be flexible in case I'm doing maintenance and I really need to get a light out of the way. I mean, you can always lift them up. That's quite easy. But I could also just move those to the side, so the cables are just lying on top. Makes it very flexible, and you won't be able to see any of the cable salad on top of this lighting frame construction, and the covers will just pop on with magnets. So that'll be quite simple. But it gives me the opportunity in case I want to exchange the lights eventually. I can just move those aluminum profiles around, and then I basically fit for putting any lamp on the top.
What do you have for a glass thickness?
I think that's 15 millimeters. This is Starfire glass, the front and the left side of the aquarium. The floor is a bit bigger. It's a 2-segment tank. So the tank is built by Aqua Emotions. René has done a great job in constructing this. So it's basically, and hopefully, built for forever. So all the seams are specifically covered a second time with glass frames. So all the corners have a profile put into that seam again. The floor layer is also separated, so that, it can basically work a little bit. Ceilings are done very well. He covered the corners with a little profile just to make sure that they are protected from being damaged on the corners. I mean, the worst thing you can imagine is having a break or some some glass chips coming out. Definitely not the cheapest tank to buy, but I'm sure it's the best one I've ever had from the construction quality of it. Of course, I would have loved to use an acrylic tank. The problem with that is for me that I'm the only one being the aquarist here in the company, and when I'm traveling and you're gone for 2 weeks, then it's tough to keep those windows clean, and then eventually one of the employees or whoever would scratch it, and then I would get angry, and I didn't want to have that. So that's why I use glass. Other than that, I would always prefer, also for safety reasons, of course, the acrylic work that Florian is doing. But yeah, unfortunately I had to go for glass for this one, so sorry, Florian.
But in the next video we're gonna see an acrylic tank which is already here in the building.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, we do have an acrylic tank. Yeah, well, that's our new thing. You'll see that in the video when we walk through the company. So there's something in the plans, and that tank is indeed built by Florian as well. Yeah, I do have my office space here, so whenever I'm working, you'll see I have that perfect view of my tank. So whenever I don't like things on my computer, I always have this nice view of my aquarium. I really enjoy having the tank at work. Used to have the tanks at home, but then your time at home is basically limiting the servicing and everything. And also when I'm traveling, it's easier for having someone to do the maintenance here. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. And as I'm working usually some over hours anyway, it's great to be able to enjoy the tank at work.